Hi, Hayley.
Hello.
How are
How are
you?
you?
No, I'm good, thanks. You?
Good. Good.
All right. So, Hayley, you're coming to Awaken the Goddess,
Yeah.
and I wanted you to tell me and the people listening a bit about hypnobirthing. What
Yeah.
is it?
So hypnobirthing sounds all kind of mystical and people get a bit scared about it. They think that it's very much related to staged hypnosis, and it's so much simpler than it actually sounds. Um, Hypnobirthing is essentially tapping into your subconscious part of your brain and reprogramming it in a way, or taking out any of fears or preconceived fears that you might have had from anything, from things you've seen, things you've heard, films, and kind of getting rid of that fear, and reprogramming and putting positive thoughts and feelings into that subconscious level. So quite often, what we think we do is make decisions that are governed by our conscious brain, a short-term kind of memory space. But what we actually do is make most of our decisions from the subconscious level, which is where all your emotions and everything are stored. So even though I could say to someone, these are the reasons that you have to stop smoking. It's bad for you. It can cause cancer, blah, 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 blah. And they go, yeah, you're right. I completely understand it. Like, you're right. I have to stop. The reason they carry on is because it's an addiction that's deep rooted in their subconscious level. So people understand the logic of it, but in order to have a positive experience, it's reprogramming that subconscious level. And in order to do that, we basically use positive visualizations and a lot of listening to what we call scripts. So it's like soundtracks. Where we use positive words and putting positive messages into that subconscious level. So it's a lot of practice, because if you haven't put those subliminal messages into your subconscious brain, they kind of don't stay put. So we do say it's a lot of homework. So using the scripts, we learn breathing techniques in order to help us relax. And various relaxation techniques as well, to send us into a deeper relaxation, because that's when we're going to be taking that information into that subconscious brain, that subconscious level. And it's quite interesting because actually people worry about whether they're taking in the information. Some people fall asleep when they're listening to the soundtracks and things. And we always say it's nothing unusual. You're actually in that state of mind at least twice a day. So it's once when you wake up in the morning and once when you go to bed at night. That kind of in between sleep and waking up, that's the state that you're kind of in, where you absorb that information. So we always say, don't worry if you fall asleep. My husband could never remember the first, the next like 4 words after the lady introduced herself on the script, because he was always fast asleep. He would be like, I can't even remember what she said, but it still works. Going into that subconscious level. So that's a really important thing for people to remember. So breathing is a really important factor in order to help us relax. We talk in hypnobirthing, we talk a lot about oxytocin and getting that good feel factor going to have a really lovely birth experience. And hypnobirthing really is practicing getting that oxytocin flowing. We promote doing lots of like positive, happy things, and that's why it's a lovely thing to do with your partner in pregnancy as well, because it really forms a bond and a connection when you do it together. It doesn't have to be your husband or your boyfriend, or it doesn't have to be a man. It could be your mum, it could be your best friend, but it's really nice to get that good bond and that good feelings going together. So when the day comes and your birthing partner's with you, you've already got that lovely connection and you're getting all those good feel hormones going. So we talk about a lot about oxytocin, and as part of that, there's a lot of light touch massage and like light touch stroking, because these are also, your skin obviously is a big receptor and to encourage oxytocin to flow. So that's a really important factor.
Okay.
So there's many different techniques that we use to tap into that subconscious level in order to promote like a really good, nice relaxation, so that when the time comes, you're relaxed, you're happy, and you're just feeling really good about everything and feeling really positive. An important thing to mention is we talk a lot about how hypnobirthing is simply words used in a positive way to release any fears that you might have had. And I think that really sums it up in a really simple way, because essentially that's what it is.
Okay, great. So tell me, when would someone, I became pregnant now, when would I enlist your services? Would it be at the beginning? Is it throughout the entire pregnancy? Is it a couple of sessions before I'm due? How does it work?
Do you know what? People have done it successfully as late as 37 weeks pregnant. It's always better with anything where there's practice and homework involved that you start it earlier, and because you benefit more, because it becomes second nature to you. So most people, for some reason, not really sure why, always kind of gravitate towards looking into some sort of hypnobirthing around 27, 28 weeks. And I think that's because their 30-week mark's coming up and they think, like we're on the 10-week countdown. But we say, it can be as early as 20 weeks. The more time you have to practice, the better. Okay. But people have successfully done it as late as, 37 weeks and done like an intense course and really practiced it. I'd say if you were really fearful and you knew that you had those fears, some people don't even realise, but if you knew you had those fears and you were a bit worried about giving birth, then I would say the earlier the better. It can only be beneficial. And what I've learned is that, I had my baby 18 months ago, and I still use hypnobirthing techniques day to day, with any fears, or, I've used it on a boat for seasickness. I've used it on a plane when we had really bad turbulence. Like, you learn life skills, which is amazing.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, Hayley, tell me how you got into this line of work.
So, I had my second baby 18 months ago, just over now. Not really a baby anymore, more of a toddler. And I knew that I wanted to look into hypnobirthing. With my first birth, I didn't do hypnobirthing. I was quite young. I mean, I wasn't young. I felt very young, and I felt quite naive about things, but I wasn't scared. In my first birth, I thought to myself, I'm just going to be really open. I think that's the best way to be. I'm going to be really open. And looking back at that birth, what I found was that actually it's more naive going into things that way, because you haven't researched, you haven't looked at any information, you haven't looked into what your choices would be should something happen. What's the research behind those things that are offered to you, the benefits, the risks. All I knew is that I didn't really want an epidural. I didn't want an episiotomy. And unfortunately, I had the episiotomy. And so in my second pregnancy, I spent a lot of time looking back at that first birth and thinking, why didn't it go as smoothly? It wasn't a horrific birth, actually. It was long. It was a standard first time birth. But, I had the episiotomy. It was a traumatic first last half an hour, where it was all a bit chaotic, and I had things happen to me that I didn't want to happen to me, and I didn't really know why I had that happen, And when I started looking into hypnobirthing, I realised that actually there's so much research that you have to do around birth and labour, and if you are not fully informed and haven't weighed up the benefits and the risks, and haven't been given, it's almost being given permission to feel empowered to say, no, I don't want that done to me, or I would like 10 minutes to think about this. You never realise that that's an option if you haven't really looked into it, or you haven't done something like hypnobirthing. And I always say to my clients, not that I want to encourage them to be difficult or anything, but I always say to them, you don't have to say yes to anything. If you want to give birth standing on your head in the corner of a room, like you could do that. It's your birthright, your choice, how you give birth. And I think so many people don't realise that. They see it as a medical procedure, and that what is given to them or offered to them, they have to take and they have to accept, and they don't ask questions. So it's really about empowering people to have those choices around birth. And once I had that that information that I don't have to say yes, I can do whatever I want, I can have a home birth, it transformed me, and I felt so empowered. And I was lucky enough to have people around me that really supported that as well, because I think that is so important, and people that advocated for me. And a lot of women don't have that. So once I had that experience, I really wanted to share that with other women, for them to know what their rights were, and how empowered they could be, and how empowered they could feel. Sorry, my phone keeps ringing. It's really
Don't worry.
Yeah, and so I went into hypnobirthing. I was so passionate about it. It opened a whole birth world for me that I didn't know was there.
Yeah.
And I had an amazing home birth, water birth, hypnobirth. It was textbook, and I think, I had people come around and see me afterwards and say, so how was it? And I was like, yeah, it was great. And they're like, but really, how was it? People think that it's going to be horrific, and I was like, it was lovely. He was born right over there in this kitchen, and it was a really, really lovely experience. And the only thing that I'd say is that I don't feel that I was lucky to have that experience. I feel that I put a lot of hard work into and research into getting that experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important thing to add as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think actually the point you make about not just accepting everything that they say has to be done is really important, because I was just reading an article recently about a hospital in Kent who have piloted a scheme of not telling women to push while they're in labour, and that reduced tearing by an astronomical amount.
Yeah.
And it's just this stuff that we think is normal and has to be done actually doesn't have to be done. It's like lying on your back with your feet in stirrups. That's just something that's easier for a male doctor to have a look at you, rather than getting down on the floor and doing what he should be doing.
It's madness. It's madness. And I wish I had the figures and facts in front of me. I'm sure people can look them up, but Ina May Gaskin, which I'm sure many people have heard of, really amazing midwife over in America. She, in one of her books, states how out of 400 and something routine procedures that are done to women during labour, such a small percentage of those are known to be beneficial to the woman and the baby. Now, everyone needs to go away and do and research that, and don't, look at the facts and figures on it, because I haven't got the actual numbers in front of me. But I was shocked to know that such a big number of the routine procedures are actually known to not be beneficial to the mother or the baby during labour and birth. And they're done because they're routine procedures, and because there's so much bureaucracy and red tape, whether it's in hospitals, NHS, different bodies, it takes so long to change something, even though we know, delayed cord clamping, which we now know is beneficial. It's taken so long to implement that, because before it was such a standard procedure just to cut the cord, like giving birth on your back. We know it's really not beneficial to giving birth. But yet people are put on their backs. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, well, I'm so glad you're going to be there then to actually talk to women and say, hey, do you know? Okay, that's brilliant. Hayley, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait to see you at the event.
Same.
It'll be great to share more.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you so much. Bye.